Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Adam Den. Aiden Leviditis is here with me, and we are here. It's halftime right now of the Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors. Not the close,
Not a fun game.
not super fun. It's fun to see KD and Kyrie. We'll say that.
But it's not like a competitive game at all.
No, but yeah, we're just here to give you guys talk little birds, of course, but give you guys our NBA preview before we get into this action. Yeah.
So we're just gonna go east to west, top 8 seeds.
Yeah, just rank them all the way through. Yep.
All right. So out east, I'll go first, I guess. So out east, Milwaukee at 1. Okay, I'm gonna do just a tiny little preview. Like Milwaukee, they got better. They didn't get any worse, but I don't know. I'm still very skeptical about them through the playoffs, but I think they'll still be a really good regular season team.
Mm-hmm.
2, we got Brooklyn. As we were seeing right now, they're looking incredible. We'll get back to them later, but they're a deep team. They obviously have 2 top 15 players in the league. One of them's top 3, KD. So number 3, Miami. I still can't see them replicating the success from last year, going all the way to the finals, but they'll still be a very good team. Like, I can't see Tyler Hero taking the step that everybody thinks he will, but I think Jimmy, Bam, Duncan, Tyler Hero, and like all that, like that's a good team. It's a very good team, and the East is generally not as stacked as it used to be last year, because a lot of guys moved west. Like for a team that I'm gonna talk about in a little bit, but at 4 we got Boston. They would be higher if Kemba wasn't hurt until January, I think. So like mid-January, but they could make a run. I don't think they will, just because that big man position is non-existent right now with Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice. And I mean, if Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and like their young core finally steps up in the playoffs. I mean, another made the Eastern Conference Finals like 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, but Boston at 4, Sixers at 5. I kind of 100% see us overperforming or completely underperforming, but I think it's a perfectly neutral, unbiased placement because I expect Ben Simmons to be great. Same with, I still have my doubts about Joel's motor and his overall like health, which is pathetic, but adding Doc Rivers helps so much, and Seth Curry and Dwight Howard, and will be hopefully marginally less painful to watch. So, yeah. At 6, I have Toronto taking a big step from last year down because you lose Marc Gasol, which isn't a huge deal because you get Aaron Baines, the GOAT. But Serge Ibaka, I think, definitely is a big loss because that defensive presence is gone for them because, Chris Boucher is a decent NBA player, but Serge Ibaka adds a lot to that Raptors team. And you still have Fred VanVleet, you still have Kyle Lowry, and Siakam, I think he kind of has been a little overrated since that finals run, but he might step up for what his contract is worth, but I don't know. I think they'll still make the playoffs. Like I think that's not a surprise at all, but they'll be fine. 7, Indiana, another weird team because Victor Oladipo's health is always up in the air. Miles Turner's fine. Sabonis is quietly a very good player. Same with Malcolm Brogdon, Jeremy Lamb. I think it's that's a classic Eastern Conference 7 or 8 seed team like Orlando. I don't have Orlando making the playoffs because at 8 I have the Hawks. I want some teams like Washington, and you probably talk about them. But Trae Young, I think he's trying to have a really good season. You had Bogdanovich and John Collins going to be back for the full season. I'm pretty sure he missed like 20 games last year from like a suspension. You have Capella. You still have those young players like Reddish, Herder, Hunter, and you got a Kongwu, so you can move him around with Capella. So I think like the Pacers. They're the most Eastern Conference 8 seed of all time. They probably
All right, so my East. I'm gonna start with number 1, Milwaukee. I think this is kind of obvious. You know, obviously during the regular season, it's been found that Giannis is an incredibly more dominant player. Through his past 2 MVPs. The addition of Drew Holiday is incredibly important. I feel like, even though it was a lot to give up, the defensive presence that he provides, and just having another elite scorer. I
Mhm.
think, with the way Chris Middleton has somewhat uh, downgraded throughout the playoffs into, I mean, not even really an option.
It's kind of this.
Is not fantastic. Yeah. And I think Dante DiVincenzo, I mean, I know we make jokes about it, him being a Delaware legend, but
Yeah.
I think he's going to take a step forward this season. I
Hmm.
really do. So, number 2, I have Brooklyn. Um, I mean, the Nets, we're just watching them. The spacing that they have on the floor to have, again, 7-foot Kevin Durant able to just pull up and knock down these threes, to have a guy like Joe Harris on the wing shooting 40%, to have Kyrie Irving, I mean, he looked like vintage Kyrie
Yep.
tonight. I think he had 16 points at the half, something crazy
I think
like
he had
that.
I think he had 17 in the first quarter.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, it's good to see them back, and I think we'll get into it later, but that team is pretty unstoppable. But number 3, I have us, the Philadelphia 76ers. Uh a little bit of an overrate
Yeah.
looking back on it.
Whatever.
But I love the potential of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons with spacing. I think the addition of Danny Green and Seth Curry just opened the floor so much. We saw it even in the preseason games. Just this
Mhm.
offense flows so much more than it did under Brett Brown,
Yeah.
and I'm definitely really looking forward to it. And so number 4, I have Miami. Um, I do feel like there is going to be a step back from this playoff team, like you said.
Hmm.
It's hard to replicate that performance with everything they got out of 1, Jimmy Butler, 2, Goran Dragic, who is aging, and 3, these young guys,
Hmm.
um, who might be able to take a step forward. I think Tyler Hero could possibly get better. I think Duncan Robinson could as well. But these are guys who I still see at the moment as, average starters or role players for right now. And this team is built for the playoffs, not the regular season, in my opinion. So I think they're going to finish as 4 seed. Number 5, I have Boston. Uh, Obviously, I think the impact of Kemba is more than you do. um,
I mean, I have it for
Losing
you.
him, you have him 4, yeah. But yeah, I think there is definitely room for a step back over here.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum has evolved into this incredible scorer, but even when Kemba comes back, I don't know whether he is going to be the same. He definitely did not look fantastic his last couple playoff games, so
Yeah.
I am definitely concerned about that.
Yeah.
But I still think they're that great team. Go ahead.
There's a bit of an overreaction to say that Gordon Hayward really like messed up their depth that much because like I can't even think who's coming off the bench now. Like I think they got Jeff Teague and
Yeah,
who
Jeff
they
Teague's
got
gonna
Aaron
start.
Nesmith,
Kate
Grant
Pritchard,
Williams, Romeo Langford. Like
yeah,
it reminds me a
listen,
lot of our bench from the past couple of years, to be completely honest.
exactly.
But
But I mean,
yeah,
they're still solid. That starting 5 is still gonna, dominate. I think
yeah,
Jason
yeah.
Tatum has only room to grow it up. And same thing with Jalen Brown. I don't think that gets
Mhm.
talked about enough. Just the
Yeah.
defensive presence he is. So, Toronto, I agree with everything you said about them. I think the loss of Serge Ibaka, it is completely underrated how big of a presence he was in that Boston series, keeping them in that game with his dominance in the paint, and as well as that Brooklyn series. I mean,
Mhm.
just having him as this giant, oversized big who was able to do a lot of the things that Gasol couldn't. And I know Gasol's gone now too, but I think Aaron Baines and Gasol are rather similar players at this point in their career. And so, yeah, I think there is room for them to take a step back. And Siakam needs to prove that he is not the same player he was in the playoffs. I think
Yeah.
I overrated him going into there. I think he's been a little disrespected this offseason, but he has room to grow, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Number 7, I have the Washington Wizards.
I don't mind.
And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a controversial one, but I feel like when you add Russell Westbrook, who I think has been undervalued, we have to forget before this guy got injured, he was averaging 30 points per game
Mhm.
and looked, I mean, similar to a younger version of himself in OKC,
Mhm.
to be honest. So, I think the addition of him with a 30-point per game scorer in Bradley Beal, who has all the tools to be a superstar in this league, with a bunch of, I mean, solid, unspectacular, but solid role players around them. I honestly think it's almost lock to be a playoff team, and I think there's the potential to be a top 4 seed, to be honest. And number 8, I have Atlanta. Again, it's about upside. And
Mhm.
Trey Young's definitely going to take a step forward, I feel like. Um, John Collins needs to find a way to fit in. I think they have a great rotation of bigs, but it's going to be tough to fit everybody in.
Mhm.
And this is on Lloyd Pierce. I think if they do not win this season, he is definitely
Go ahead,
without
yeah.
a job.
Mhm. All right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
last.
let's move out west. Number one, the Lakers. I have nothing really to contribute, but they did add a lot of good depth with Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell, and like the reigning champions just got better. I don't think anybody's gonna stop them.
Definitely.
So yeah, Lakers at 1, 2. I have Denver. They're always a good regular season team. They did make it to the Western Conference Finals last year, but I mean, I'm not totally sure if they can do that again. But they're still a very good team.
Yeah.
Jokic is probably going to average close to triple double. Jamal Murray, MIP conversation. Same thing with Michael Porter Jr. See, did they lose Paul Millsap?
Now they re-signed him to a much cheaper deal.
Okay, because I know that
Yeah.
contract was like terrible before. I'm like,
Exactly.
hopefully they got rid of that. But I mean, if it's
Exactly.
more affordable, you're good. So,
Yeah.
and Mike Bowen's one of the better coaches in the league, so you don't have to worry about like us with Brett Brown or like it's that kind of nonsense. So
Yeah, I mean, I still have problems with his lineups
yeah,
late game, but
but
they're solid.
good team, second seed, 3 of the Clippers. I really want him to be good. I do because I've always been a fan of Kawhi,
Me too.
and I mean Tyronn Lue when he was announced to be the coach of the Sixers in quotes, I was kind of pissed, and
Yes.
thankfully we got Doc Rivers
I
because
was happy. That was my pitch.
Doc Rivers is marginally better than Tyronn Lue, in my opinion. Even though playoff Doc Rivers as of late has not been fantastic, but
Yeah.
if Paul George gets back on track to, I don't want to say MVP form like in OKC, but if he goes back to perennial All Star, then that'll be fine. I think the loss of Montrez is pretty bad because then you're gonna have to start Zubac and who's their backup. I mean, you get Serge Ibaka, which is
Yeah.
good because he has a lot more like length than Montrez. He's like 6'6", which is so
Yeah.
weird for a center. But I really want. I seriously think the Clippers will continue to disappoint me, which is annoying. But they'll still be a good regular season team. So at 4, I have Dallas. We'll get to Luca later for me at least. But I think Porzingis being out for a little bit is kind of an issue. But they still are a really good team. You got Jalen Brunson. You got Tim Hardaway Jr. I think you have Jay Rich. We traded Seth Curry for. Let's see. I mean, the team isn't
Maxi Kluber?
incredible. Yeah, Maxi Cleaver. Yeah, it is a. I mean, you don't need to be extremely deep in this current NBA. Like, you can look at the Lakers of last year. I mean, they did get deeper, but like,
Yeah.
I think Luka will absolutely carry this team until. I mean, 2K is a little unrealistic saying he's average a triple double every year, but he is truly a generational talent. So I think they'll stay at 4. Because I mean, these later seeds are kind of interchangeable, to be honest. Because I think it's those top 3 are basically set in stone. The other teams are respectable. Like they're not to the tier of like any of the LA teams. But 5 of Utah. Um, I I don't have a lot to say about them because I mean Donovan Mitchell obviously a superstar. Very puzzled by the Rudy Gobert getting a contract comparable to Giannis, but
Me too.
I mean I guess because you're a small market team, like you kind of have to throw money at your stars, but still a very good team. I could see like they have good role players. They got the legend Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, Royce O'Neal. I mean, if Mike Conley comes back to form, maybe it'll be a little better. But Utah is again like a 5 seed. They are just a solid team. They aren't very good. They're not very. They're a team that will be tolerable to watch, and they will make the playoffs and lose to the Mavericks probably. But at 6, I have the Trailblazers. You add Robert Covington, Sixers legend. Who else did you add? I mean, you still have Melo, you still have Dame, you still have Nurkic, healthy Nurkic, and CJ. So, I mean, if everyone stays healthy, they'll be fine. It's similar to like the Mavericks, like how there isn't like they're not super deep, but they do have a superstar. So by proxy, they kind of just have to make the playoffs. Same with number 7, the Rockets, which are probably like the most problematic team at the moment right now because
Yeah.
we don't even know if Harden's going to be on the Rockets in
He's
the
busy
foreseeable future. But
trying to beat up rookies.
yeah, like second round picks that
Yo.
won't get playing time. But I mean, the trade for John Wall was interesting, I guess, because I mean, if he is back to that all-star John Wall form, I think it is a fair enough trade. If Westbrook does as well, because if it's been like a year since we've seen John Wall, and he
Yeah.
he was like a top 5 point guard when he was healthy. So
Yeah.
I mean, you had Christian Wood too. You had Boogie Cousins if he's healthy. Like it's a ton of it's a very what if team,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So in the event that Harden's gone, I assume I would bump up the 8 seed, which is the Phoenix Suns. I mean, you had Chris Paul, which is like exactly what you needed because they were starting Ricky Rubio, I think, or
Yeah,
yeah,
they
it was
were.
rough. But I think they're still they're a very decent team. I like them a lot more than I should. Like they could go higher. I think their
Yeah.
ceiling is a lot higher than a team like Utah,
Yep.
just because they have that potential of Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges. Who'd they get? They get Jalen Smith. Yeah,
Yeah.
a very weird pick, but
Not the best pick, but
they will make the playoffs and get smacked by the Lakers. But
yeah.
yeah, there we go.
So I have the same top 4 as you, but I'm still gonna kind of trail through. The Lakers, obviously, like you said, you win a championship, you add additional depth. That's going to be a incredible team. Um, I think LeBron James is going to continue his dominance. I think Anthony Davis can only get better. I don't think he reached his full potential throughout the bubble. I think he played hurt through part of it. So I'm definitely excited for that team. Number 2, I have Denver. I think again so much potential. Michael Porter Jr. is definitely going to take a step forward. Jamal Murray had a fantastic bubble. If he continues that dominance in the regular season, um, it can only get better. And number 3, I have the Clippers. Um,
The
yeah, we're talking about teams with upside. This is where it gets not great. Paul George, I think, is a little bit disrespected. I will say that. This is a guy who was an MVP, who has been a consistent All Star, and who I think can still be a star in this league. Um, Obviously, when you're trapped inside of this NBA bubble and, the atmosphere that it was tough on a lot of these players, and I think it impacted a lot of performance. And I think that's why everybody, Mickey Mouse ring, blah 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 blah. I give complete credit to LeBron and the Lakers for
yeah,
that, but the Clippers, I think will continue to be a decent team, and I think there is going to be a lot of load management in the regular season, but they will still be a top 3 seed, and they will still continue to be good. And number 4, I have Dallas, and I mean Luca. That's
that's
really
not
all.
really.
Yeah, the addition of Josh Richardson adds a lot of defense, so I am happy about that. So yeah, they're still going to be solid. And this is where it gets different. Number 5, I had Portland.
Yep, sure.
Uh, I loved how they played in the bubble. The addition of Nurkic, them being able to actually stay healthy, hopefully, I think could definitely help them reach their potential. And I mean, Damian Lillard is Damian Lillard.
Yep.
Uh, I think top 2 point guard in this league. We can have that argument. I still think Steph Curry is better. Um, but when you have this guy who night in and night out is able to just dominate from beyond the 3 point line, it's definitely huge. Number 6, I have Houston. This is a train wreck waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty much.
if there was one team that I was going to take out of here, that would be this team. But I can't cut out James Harden, him being
Mhm.
the generational scorer that he is. Um, And I love Christian Wood as well. I think that was a fantastic, fantastic pickup. So I'm gonna keep them there. Number 7, I have Phoenix.
Mhm.
Uh, Chris Paul, you know, graded. I think they're very similar to the Wizards
Mhm.
in that they have a very high ceiling. Um, but if they continue to play the way they did in the bubble, there's no reason why they can't reach that. And I think again, I would not be surprised if they snuck into that top 4 around where Dallas is.
Mhm.
And number 8, I have Utah. And this is not a fun team to watch.
Yeah. No.
I think there's potential for a step back, especially with Mike Conley getting older. But I think with the addition of a finally healthy Bojan, which I think was a huge piece to them losing to Denver in that first round, I think they would have made a lot farther with him.
Mhm.
Um, I think there is potential for that team, and I'm going to take them as the 8 seed over Golden State,
Yeah.
who I have as the 9 seed.
Yeah. My 9 seed was maybe like them or like New Orleans. I don't know, but like
Yeah.
we're not gonna talk about the borderline playoff teams. Like,
Yeah.
so can I get into awards
Yo.
real quick? MVP. I'm gonna say Luca just to be different, but my second is Giannis. It just seems boring to have him three-peat.
It
So,
is. Yeah, I agree.
but for DPOY, I do have Giannis. So,
Yo.
um, yeah. So rookie of the year, Lamelo. I mean, he's
Yo.
gonna get a lot of shots. There's nobody else. Like you got Devontae Graham, you got PJ Washington, you got Terry Rozier and Busy. Like they're not going to be a good team, but Lamelo's can average like 16, 6, and 6. So
Hmm.
like I can't see Edwards getting a ton of usage immediately. Or I mean, Wiseman has not been good so far. The
No.
Wizards. And I mean, Patrick Williams does have a chance. I will say he's
They're
looked really
saying the
good.
next Kawhi. I don't
Yeah,
know whether to buy that or not, but
either the next Kawhi or the next like Otto Porter. But
yeah.
um, Sixth man of the year. I was gonna say Spencer Dinwiddie, but he was starting tonight, so I'm gonna go with Karis LeVert because he's a very good player. Like
Yo,
first, he was in my MIP conversation, but then I finally realized like, oh, I'm forgetting this dude. But Karis sixth man of the year. I don't know why they're not starting him, but I guess yeah, sure, sixth man of the year MIP. I feel really bad for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, to be completely honest, because like he's on an island at this point. We got Al Horford as your second option. Like we know a thing or two about the
the Al
next.
Horford.
Who else is on that team? I think they traded Kelly Oubre immediately for a
Lou
pick.
Dort.
Yeah, you got Lou Dort. You got you traded Steven Adams too.
Yeah,
Traded Chris Paul.
yeah.
Traded Terrence Ferguson. You got the whole team is gone. Let's see,
Yo.
Thunder roster.
Oh God.
I
George
know they
Hill?
got
No, George Hill's
yeah,
gone too, isn't he?
they got a Poca Poca.
Yeah.
They got didn't they draft Teo Maladon?
Yo.
He had like 20 points in the preseason, but let's see. Oh, Trevor Ariza, Isaiah Roby, who's actually okay, but
He's
like
great.
Justin
Yeah.
Jackson, UNC legend, Mike Muscala, Sixers legend. Like
It's not.
like is not his team. I would not be surprised if this is the worst team in the league. To be completely honest.
I think they're gonna be close. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
them finishing
right up
close
there
too.
with Cleveland and
New York and Detroit.
yeah, and Charlotte and New York and let's see other
San
really
Antonio.
yeah. But my second pick would be like Michael Porter Jr. because I mean we've seen how he played in the bubble. Like he's a beast. But
Yeah.
Coach of the Year Eric Spoelstra. Most of the time, like same with MVP, it usually goes to best coach or best player on best team. But I'll say Eric Spoelstra. I have him like the 3 seed, but he
Yeah.
really is what makes that team click. Like if I think if anyone else was coaching that team, that would be kind of a disaster. Like
Yep.
put Brett Brown there, and they would suck.
And yep.
But I mean Jimmy Butler, obviously, would not be a fan of
Be good with Brett Brown. Yep.
that. Yeah,
Not a
Eric
locker room
Spoelstra.
leader.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead with your.
All right. So my MVP is gonna be LeBron James. It feels stupid and obvious. It really does. But with the dominance, I feel like the Lakers are going to hold over the league. It just feels like the right move. I know him and AD are going to split votes, but I think he's going to come back more motivated after losing this to Giannis and take his crown back. But backup options, I think Steph Curry is going to put up Harden-like numbers. I don't think his team is going to make the playoffs, but I would not be surprised if he dropped, 32 per game and 8 assists. So definitely him. And Jokic as well, because I think that Denver team is going to be very solid, like I said.
Mhm.
Rookie of the year, I have LaMelo Ball, like you said. Just,
Just the shit.
yeah,
Like
there's nobody.
I mean, yeah. If it was a different, if there was no Zion or Ja, that would be like RJ Barrett.
Yeah. And the hype. I mean,
Yeah,
look, the past rookie of the years, the only reason Zion is even close to Ja, to be completely honest, and even got votes,
just
was the hype.
because he's Zion.
So, yeah. So LaMelo would definitely, I think, will take that. But don't sleep on Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. Um, Miami needed that Crowder role throughout the playoffs
yeah,
filled, and I think he will definitely step into it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he took it, averaging something like
yeah. Yeah, we
55.
talked about other sleepers. Yeah, let me think. Like Killian Hayes could work, maybe Halliburton, but like, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, this is a wide open award to be honest. This is like the most,
Oh, yeah.
just to be honest, the most mid draft and like since the Anthony Bennett draft. To be
Well,
completely honest,
yeah.
like there is no true. I mean, you could argue Lamelo, but there's no true like guaranteed superstar on
Well,
this
and I
team.
mean you look at the standings, our NBA
Yeah,
standings that we ranked out. No rookie has at all changed what we already thought preseason, except maybe LaMelo. So that's
Yeah.
that's the real factor here, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm.
But sixth man of the year, this is kind of a different one. I have Norman Powell. Um,
Sure.
from Toronto, coming off a solid, I think he averaged 15, but I
Yeah.
think he's poised to take a jump with this Toronto team needing more scoring after the losses they attained last year. And yeah, I think no reason why they couldn't happen. They're going to be a playoff team, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most improved, I also have Shea. Like you said, just the volume. Um, Backup though, Jamal Murray. I think you said that earlier as well. If he continues his bubble performance, the performance he put on during the playoffs, I definitely think he has a chance at that. And defensive player of the year, I have Giannis. It just seems
Yeah.
obvious. I mean, Anthony Davis definitely could,
Yeah.
but I doubt the Lakers are gonna take two home. So,
Yeah.
and coach of the year, I have Mike Malone of the Denver Nuggets. With the step, I feel like they take forward, continuing what they did in the bubble, based on their talent level. I think he definitely
Mhm.
deserves, and I think he will. Monty Williams is another name to watch out for, though, at the
Yeah.
Wizards, and Scott. I mean, the Suns, and Scott Brooks for the Wizards.
Yeah. So fine. I
Yeah,
mean, finals projections, I guess.
yeah,
Probably the same thing, but
yeah,
LA over Brooklyn, probably the most predictable like finals, I guess. But I mean, it's
yeah,
the two teams in the league, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, I have LA over Brooklyn as well, but I think there is an argument to be made for Milwaukee if Giannis can finally show.
I really want Giannis to get a ring. Like that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
It's Katie and Kyrie.
It's
Like,
Kate and Kyrie. Yeah.
I mean, probably the most complete scorer the game has ever seen.
Mhm.
I mean, Giannis deserves those defensive player of the years, but like,
But still, I mean, he's
there's a
never.
reason why KD won multiple Finals MVPs against LeBron.
Yo, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean, there is an argument to be made that Kevin Durant, during some of those final years, I mean, we talk about how LeBron has been the best player in the league throughout his career. There is an argument to be made that some of those final years, Kevin Durant was the best player in basketball.
yeah.
It's just true.
And I
And
mean, I guess Drew Holiday could maybe contain Kyrie, but like Kyrie is also ridiculous.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
I can't see Chris Middleton really having a
solid. No,
breakout playoff. So
no. Maybe as a number three option, he'll step up, but we'll see. I
yeah,
have them winning in six. I think it is going to be a close series, but I
it'll be a
think,
fun series.
again, the Lakers' talent level, as we talked about, is just so substantial. Even with how good this Brooklyn team looks, um, adding so much depth to a championship level team is just the definition for success, and
Yep,
it's going to happen.
yep. So I guess we're gonna talk about the Jalen Hurts led Eagles.
Well, segue into that because we're gonna split this episode up.
Yeah,
So be on
welcome.
the lookout next
Yeah.
week. Jalen Hurts Eagles.